Hey, yo, peace world, it's Raheem DeVaughn, one half of the CrossRhodes.
This is Wes Felton, the other half of the CrossRhodes, and you're in tune to Gospel Goodies.
Gospel Goodies.
Gospel Goodies. Gospel Goodies.
This is Gospel Goodies.
Oh man, how did the CrossRhodes get together? I'll let Wes tell that story.
Well, you know, it's like one of those good down-home, oldie but goodie stories about a young man that was at the crossroads, and another young man was at the crossroads, and the devil was at the crossroads, and the two men, rather than going the road that the devil chose, wanted to lead them to, the two brothers chose to join forces to create their own lanes. They decided that one day, instead of being competitors and making music about beefing, they was gonna make music about breaking bread.
So basically, we actually met. We met initially. I want to say we met initially at a spot called Bar None, which was like a open mic spot, like a hub for like creatives, artists, poets, musicians.
On U Street.
On U Street, yeah, U Street. It's now known as Club Pure, I believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I used to go to kind of like shed. I had just recently tapped out of being in my last group and decided I was going to be a solo artist. And I used to use that platform down there to just kind of like develop my craft. I ended up reneging on my word and starting another group, but I said I would do something different than what I've done in the past, which was a rock band. So I had a rock band at the time. It was called Tree of Souls, pretty dope. And Wes and our current co-manager, Tone Walters, had an event that they curated along with a guy named Munch, who's on our team now, ironically. They had an event called Groove Gumbo. So Wes had saw Tree of Soul, and we had met. He had saw me perform. I thought Wes was a great performer as well, and he invited myself and Tree of Soul to come out and perform. Needless to say, I got there on time, but we were late for the performance due to some other, time constraints and things going on.
You always say that you was on time. I recall y'all all being late, but it's okay. I'll let you run. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So needless to say, man, we were late. We weren't on time. We weren't on stage when we were supposed to be, or where we were supposed to be when we needed to be there. One of the few times that I remember late for anything. In fact, we got to this interview early. We're sure I'm one of those guys that tends like to be early and not on time for things. But man, it worked out. We ended up performing, killing it. And just kept a great relationship, a working relationship, built a brotherhood. Yeah. It got to a point where if Wes was doing the show, I'd pop up and vice versa. We would kind of integrate our songs. If he was performing a record and I had a song that it was kind of like along the same subject matter, I made it work to his record and vice versa. And then we decided, man, like to do an album. You know what I mean? And fast forwarding to our newest project, Footprints on the Moon. 12, 15 years later, we had two previous projects that we put out independently.
Limited budget, unlimited quality, and then the second one was the Invitation.
Yeah, so it feels good, man. We still going. We took a pretty long hiatus, but if you listen to the new album, Footprints on the Moon, you can tell that we haven't missed a beat. Yeah. I kind of look at it as like we're lyrical lobbyists. You know what I mean? There's no time like the present to be an artist and make music that matters. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because our Black lives matter. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And DC also has a tradition and rich legacy in resistance music or protest music. So often we fall for the bubble and the illusion that DC music is only about the turn up or the party or the go-go in a sense. But the thing that's powerful about even go-go is that go-go at least still kept two traditions that are African culture traditions amongst them, which is the tradition of the drum and being able to communicate through percussive instruments, but then also the call and response. That's traditionally what artists and the people did to stay connected with call and response. So that's a natural thing for us. Live music is just what it is. It's live. So you're dealing with living people, and in order to be woke, you got to be alive. But what we tell people all the time is that rather than staying woke, you want to live woke, because we need rest. We can't properly function if we don't get rest. We can't properly make right decisions. So with this Footprints on the Moon, it's like, yeah, you're right. We were making what could be considered woke music since the origin of our art and the projects we've done. But now we kind of fast forward to what I think we would call living woke. That's what Footprints on the Moon is about. Don't settle for your temporary moments or temporary environments, but actually think that the sky is not the limit. It's actually just the beginning.
The album in particular was inspired by the Baltimore uprisings as well as the St. Louis uprisings. Praying prayers before. When I first called Wes, one of the first albums that I had actually recorded and started working on was Praying Prayers. And then halfway into America, I said I think this is a great way for us to start making music again. You know what I mean? And on a collaborative tip, and it just kind of just like morphed from there.
It's very natural, it's like, for people that might not know us, we could probably come off a little extreme just in terms of like our engagement with each other, but the only thing I could really compare it to is like brothers. I think for both Raheem and I, although we have siblings, I think for each other, we're each other's first kind of real version of like brothers, because we get under each other's skins. We got a lot of inside jokes. We gotta, we've traveled the planet together. We've been with each other at some of our lowest moments as well as some of our highest moments. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like natural, like our collaboration process, not to try to brag, but a lot of times we just go into the studio and we'll maybe talk for a little bit or over a meal or something while we're kind of getting comfortable and just talk about what's going on right now in our personal lives, what's going on in the world, and then we usually just go from there. We just say, okay, well today, I noticed there's a lot of toxic masculinity that's going on, and I feel like we don't need to let those people speak for us, and we don't need to let people, just come to the conclusion that all black men are that way. So we need to talk about that. We need to maybe make a song about, look, I'm not trying to fight tonight. Like, that never helps anything. And talk about how alcoholism can influence domestic violence in our community. Just things like that. So the process is very natural. It's a very fluid, easy. It was like riding a bike. So literally, like, once we started the project, it was like we never stopped.
We just accept the responsibility that comes with what we do. I don't really feel like it's any pressure. I think the most pressure has been, connecting the dots on a business level. We came out during a time where, there wasn't that heavy social media presence platform, or, the structure of radio was different at the time, or just these different components. Now we're in the digital age. People go about getting their music and finding it and downloading it or copying it. They get it all these different ways. So it's really just kind of getting in tune with that and riding that wave, how that whole system works. So you gotta learn that process. I think we're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, like I said, this is not under our control. Like I tell people all the time that with the amount of resistance that can come with resistance music in a corporate country, because basically corporations run our country. We're now at a place where I feel like God has kind of taken control of this project and our process, to where we're just now having to just, follow the orders of the steps that are being like laid before us, because God created the circumstances that we're living in, but God never puts us in a circumstance that we can't handle. It's like up to us as the individuals, regardless of your personal spiritual belief or religious belief, prayer without action is blasphemy. You gotta do the work. God helps those who helps themselves. So a lot of those cliches or a lot of those quotes originally started off as real statements by the individual who experienced that actual thing that made them say, oh my God, the Lord made a way somehow, or, and we got to get back to just reminding people that we're not under control of everything, and therefore we can't live in a life of fear, and we actually should just live a life that really propels us to live to our fullest potential and not necessarily settle for the narratives that people have forced on us. And I think that's what we're attempting to accomplish.
You guys said in I'll Go Blind, let me be a beacon or a fountain to the path, if I heard that right.
Correct. When I wrote that, okay, so that statement is that statement, but for me, what's crucial is the statement right before it. When I say, I'm calling on you like a dad. So often we speak of our relationships with God on this real mystical, spiritual, just biblical way. Whereas I'm saying, like, look, I want to be a light. I want to be a beacon. I want to be a source of goodness and everything that reflect your image. But come on, I'm tired of being dealt with on this level like you're not my father. Because if I call my earthly father and I have a problem when he was alive, rest in peace, I could call him and he could give me advice, and he could. So often, I think that we underestimate the right to question and the right to not challenge our gods, but to actually attempt to have a conversation with them. So often we get caught up in just the silent approach or just traditionally. So in that song, I'm basically saying yes. I'm trying to think. So many crooked cops, politicians, who the real thugs? Pharmaceuticals are serving all the real drugs. I'm trying to think. What else is that song? I'm trying to think of the line where I say, my God, I'm calling on you like a dad. Let me be a beacon or a fountain to the path. So many crooked cops. I think that's what the lead into it. So the point is, like I said, God, please, just tell me, just let me know, like, hey, this decision I'm about to make is the right decision, and it's gonna be pleasing in your sight. And the last thing I would say is, my mother used to tell me every day before she would send me off to school, she would make me recite, and she'd say, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord, my strength, and my Redeemer. So what that did was, that programmed into me the idea that, when you go out the house, you want to represent your family. So as God is our, Heavenly Father, I, try to make sure that the words that we're saying are reflective and pleasing in His sight. But in that moment, as a man, you want to, it's like you calling, like, God, people are dying around us, people are being slaughtered, and I know this is not new, and it's been going like that forever, since the beginning of time, but what about us? So that's all. So it's interesting you kind of isolated that line, because it's a tricky line. You know what I'm saying? It's a tricky line. We're on a mission. This is a movement. This is not a gimmick. This is not something that we just started because of the new administration, or because we're criminals trying to make up for lost time. This is something that's really like us trying to reflect our God.
The album is out, written and executive produced by myself and Wes. It's called Footprints on the Moon. It's a digital album, so we want you to know that if you go looking for this album in stores, like where they still do sell CDs, there's not many places you can buy CDs now. You cannot get this album, by buying a CD. This album is already in your phone. It's already in your smartphone. either prepared for you to buy it or you can stream it.
Yeah.
So you just simply go to your favorite search engine, your favorite digital platform, whether that's iTunes, Tidal, Apple Music, Google, Amazon, whatever that is. Type in the group name, The CrossRhodes. That's CrossRhodes, Rhodes like the scholar. The album's called Footprints on the Moon. You click on it, you follow us, and you're instantly part of our world, you know. And we encourage you to absorb the music, every word, every line, and then hit us up on social media. Ask us questions, pass the music around. If it's something you're not sure about, ask us. We'll break it down for you. Feel free, you know. We out here, man.
America,